I tell y'all the line's on fire. So we have Tamara from Atlanta. Is it Tamara?
Good morning, D. Yes. Good morning, D. How are you?
Oh, wait a minute. Who is this?
Tamara Johnson Shealy.
Hey, girl, how you doing? All right. Oh, I know you like to talk about reparations. Go ahead. Let's talk for a second now. You got a minute. Give it to us. Okay.
Look, I'm not going to look. I'm going to continue to listen. I want to say first, thank you for hosting this conversation this morning. It's long overdue, like Marcus has said. You know, we really need all eyes and all ears, particularly Black media, Black politicals, you know, everybody paying attention and giving us opportunities and giving us platforms to spread this word about reparations. So I just want to say again, thank you for hosting this conversation. And I want to thank Yvette, and I want to thank Marcus for being in the fight the way they have for many, many years. And there's a lot of us around the country, but particularly here in Georgia, I've been stomping, you know, those of you that don't know, I ran for office here and centered reparations as the biggest part of my platform to the United States Senate against the Reverend Raphael Warnock, where he never talked about this. He didn't bring this up. And when pushed to talk about it, he gave a song and a dance. And it's, you know, again, this is a fight that has to be front and center. It's the only policy that will change the state and fate of Black America, and for specifically those of us who are descendants of chattel slavery. So again, I just want to say thank you. And going back to something you said earlier, Dee, that this history in Georgia is so rich. You talked about the 40 acres and a mule, but what we don't know is the massacre of Ebenezer Creek. That was what led to the 40 acres and the mule. That massacre that happened in Effingham County, Georgia, where I'm originally from, that led to why we got to the table with Special Field Order 15 and where 40 acres and a mule came from. So our history is rich here in Georgia, and I'm just glad to hear that, you know, again, Yvette has done a lot of great work. Marcus leading the charge here. I was behind the initiation of House Bill 89 and House Bill 955, and that was the bill on a state level that would address reparations. So we're doing the work. You know, we're out here fighting, and we're doing the best we can. So, again, thank you for giving us a platform. But I just want to raise one question to both Marcus and Yvette. Is as leaders in this fight, as people that are on the front lines, how do we collaborate, and what can we do as a collective to make sure that we're working together and getting this message out? And, again, thank you.
Either one of y'all want to take that first? Thank you for calling in and giving those comments. I'm sure they're greatly appreciated. Yvette, Marcus, whoever, Martin.
Again, we just have to support one another in our individual efforts. I know you're getting ready to go to a break, but you know, on the other side of the break, I'd just like to let people know, you know, the number of government-erected reparations commissions and task force that exists. The only reason I bring that up is because before any municipality, any county, any state, the federal government, before anything is moved, you've got to go through these study processes. I know several organizations and groups have conducted these studies in the past, but it doesn't mean a hill of beans until it is up under a particular government. And there are a number of erected government reparations and task force erected by Democrats. And we've been doing this work for several years. And I'll just pause right there because we've kind of hit a fork in the road, which is devastating as it relates to this presidential election. But supporting one another in the efforts that have been going on for the past several years, showing up, sharing the information, and contacting the so-called powers that be that will make the determining factors, as we saw like out in California a couple of days ago.
Yvette?
Well, I think, you know, we talk a lot about collaboration. And one of the things that we have a problem as a group, it seems to me sometimes, is agreeing on strategy and tactics. And then if we have that disagreement, then all over a sudden it's, oh, you're a hater, you're whatever. It's just like we should be able to disagree without everybody coming down on me or anybody else. Anybody in this space. But that's kind of not what happens sometimes. You say, hey, this might not work. Oh, you just whatever. No, I'm just telling you that even when we talk about what happened in California, you know, I talked to two reporters, one on CNN and one on the AP, before, like 2 years ago, and they said, Yvette, nobody's in these rooms. these when we have these reparations discussions, and if nobody's in these rooms, you're not going to develop. The politicians are not going to feel pressured, and that's kind of what happened in the end. You don't pull those bills if you feel pressure from the people, if you feel that little breath on the back of your neck. So I think even in terms of when you talk about support and collaboration, when there is like what's happening today, when you do have these meetings, you have to be you have to be there, and that's part of when you have the discussion, when we talk about what just happened, when we break it down. You have to be you need people power, but you need the people to show up.
Be in the room. I got you. So we're going to come back and talk a little bit more after the break. This is News Talk 1380 WAOK.